the August 10th meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission to order. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes for the July 13th meeting. Do I have a motion? You received them in your packets. Have a motion by Mrs. Brown. Second, Mr. Smith. Any additions or deletions? All in favor? All opposed? Minutes are approved. Second item is the July safety report.
Good morning, all. Okay, we're currently 162 days without lost time injury. 36 since our last recordable injury. 2 year to date, and July's incident rate was at 4.8. Counted up to today's hours, we're down to a 4.6. The July training, it was just a continuation of trying to prevent any kind of heat-related illnesses with the extreme heat indexes that we've seen in June and July. So just some interesting facts there about water growth. 60% of our body weight, and then it cleanses our body of all toxins, it regulates our cooling system, and it acts as a lubricant and cushion for our joints. So all those things, if you have any kind of heat-related illness, you can tell that that's what's going on when you get dehydrated. Recommended to drink at least 3 to 4 bottles. That's 16.9 ounce bottle of water a day. And that's not including working directly in the heat and that direct exposure. You need to drink more. If you wait till you're thirsty, you're already starting to get dehydrated. And then, as we know, soda, tea, coffee, all that kind of acts as a diuretic. Gets you even more dehydrated. And then, again, the last little indicator there with your urine color, that's a pretty good way to tell where you are as far as your hydration in your body. So we just kept hitting on this for the past 3 months, and we've been very fortunate. We've not had any issues with any heat-related stuff as hot as it's been. So hopefully we'll get a break here with the remainder of the next couple of months of warm weather. We won't have those high heat days. That's all I've got. Anybody's got any questions? Yes, sir.
I had a question. I noticed some crews out working early one day last week. Do you guys start your day earlier in the summer?
Well, on those days that it's projected those really high 110 heat indexes, I send out text message to all the managers and kind of try to remind them, hey, let's schedule work early, and if we need to come in early to work, get off, 2 o'clock or whatever when it's 115 out there, let's do that.
I said that way.
So, yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate that. Next item is approval of Max Foot construction bid for wastewater treatment plant upgrade.
We talked about this at the last meeting, that bid, we had the bond for $25 million. The bids came in between $42 and $63 million, and a lot of that's attributed to the fact that it took 15 months to get the plans approved because Little Rock, just like everybody else in the country, seems like was having personnel turnover. And every time we talked to the office over there, we were talking to somebody different, and they, had to go start the plan review over. Fisher Arnold is the engineer that's helping us with this. They reviewed the bids. They recommended Max Foot. It went to the city council last week. They approved a low bid and referred it to the planning commission for your final approval. Yes, please. Utility, what did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. All right, that was just to see if anybody.
Too many hats.
Sorry.
Okay, any questions? We do have arrangements made for the other $20 million somewhere before we sign this contract, right?
Yes, I worked with Stevens to get bond schedules. We looked at getting funding from the state's revolving fund program, but in order to qualify for that money, we would have had to bid the project with Made in America clause in it, and the iron and steel clause in it, and some of the other clauses. And we thought we had enough money 2.5 years ago, so, and those weren't bid requirements then anyway. So we don't qualify for that money, so we had to go back to Stevens. We've got bond schedules for $9.5 million, $12 million, and $15 million. And what we're doing now, once, if you approve this, we'll sit down and value engineer. The contractor, Foote, has said they see some areas where we could maybe redesign, save some money. They used a slightly different design on some of their other projects, and Fisher Arnold and Paul Holloway are going to drive down, and there's one in Jackson, Mississippi. They're going to look at that to see, Paul's got to operate it, but it would save some money. So we're looking at maybe being able to cut $3 million off it. And I'm hoping we can qualify for the 12 million will be all we need, because we do have $5 million grant from the state, and we can check the budget for next year, and maybe we can fund a little bit of it. But that's but next month when we meet, I'll have a better idea of that, and of course it's going to require a rate increase. So I'll have a report on all that next time.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve
So
Max Foote? Have a motion, Mr. Holmes, second. Second to Ms. Brown. Any further questions? All in favor? All opposed?
Do you have a question?
Motion passes. Did somebody have a question?
I did, but I'm gonna wait till
Well, go ahead and ask them now.
it's just gonna be a conversation.
Oh, okay. All right, next item is economic development update.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
That's you.
Forgot, we had this. So those were the two bids that we've received. So we got some bad news last night that we've been dropped from one of the projects reported on last month, a project out at the mega site. It was one of these billion-dollar projects. We made it to the top 4, and we didn't talk to the consultant, but they spent like 30 minutes on the phone with the state going over their reasoning and whatnot, and we're going to get a fuller report later today. But the two things that floated to the top was the company was concerned about being able to recruit the workforce because of Ford being in the market, hiring people. And then they said they were concerned about the congestion on the bridge, which I wish they had brought that up, because if they located in Memphis, no one thinks about the bridges if you're in Memphis, but the traffic goes 2 ways. Their customers are on either side of the river, so we were kind of left speechless about that. We could have pulled information from RDOT to show history, and that congestion is rarely a problem. I mean, it seems like a lot of problems to us for an hour or two when it happens. But anyway, that's where we are with that. But last week, Entergy actually brought us a project with the proviso that they get to supply the energy, and it's a big user. It'll be with 100 technical positions, and we have a site visit Tuesday with that company. So they are very keen on this area, and we're hoping for the best on that. And we're working with the Memphis Area Chamber of Commerce for any kind of workforce, and they helped us with the last project. So they tried their best to convince them that workforce was not an issue. And we don't think it is, but anyway, we didn't make that decision. Let's hope. So, we lost one yesterday, and we're working on a new one next Tuesday.
May I ask where the one that you lost, where it went to?
We don't know. You will read it in the paper today, supposedly. They wanted to tell us before they made an announcement today. And we think it's a solar panel manufacturer. And one of those was just announced in Alabama about 3 weeks ago. But they said they're announcing today, so we'll be watching the journals for that.
So they're moving it to Tennessee, or side?
We're not sure yet.
Okay. 'Cause I thought we
You know, we felt really good about that. We had the perfect site in the mega center. It didn't have to move any of the ditches. There were no wetlands. It just, we thought checked all the boxes.
Oh, well. Any further questions, comments? Next item on the agenda is a fiber update.
Yeah, so we got fiber to the back of the building from Windstream, and they're making their final connection to their plant on 7th Street by our pump station. And we're expecting to have light upstairs next week. And we're working with Tier 1 to be our first customer. We've got, they're reviewing our contract, they like our rates, we have the equipment. So hopefully by the next meeting, I can tell you we have our first customer. And this project that we're working with on Tuesday, they need fiber. They want fiber, the kind that we can provide, and that's one of our sell points, that we will be able to provide them with fiber. It's I'm not sure if it's a call center or what, but they want to be tied to the World Wide Web. So that's a plus in our favor, that we can show them the design and have rates for it.
And if you wondered, all this going on next door, that's across the post office, that's the fiber coming into this building. Any further questions? Okay, before we go to the next item, I had 2 people contact me about the utility this week, last week. One of them was, we had 2 poles that went down on Clinton, and we had a power outage over there. And then they braced the poles up, but they went back about a week or so later and replaced the poles. And this was a comment about how efficient they were, how they got the job done. They let everybody know that their power was going to be out for about 4 hours while they did this. And said they got in, they got the job done, and they were gone. And said they worked like a well-oiled machine. Then the other one was a contact with the office. A customer paid their bill online, and it didn't go. There was a glitch somewhere. So the next month when they got it, they had the late fee charged. And they came in, talked with the people, got it done, and said it was handled very professional. So we've got some good people here. And very seldom is it told. I won't name any names, but they gave me names. And they had their stuff, and they showed it to them, and what they wasn't objected that the bill wasn't paid, because they knew it didn't come out of the account. They were worried about the late fee, and that was taken care of. So I just wanted to give that out. Next item is
Can
building
I give a
committee.
plug out to our electrical department?
Do
This morning, we had an outage over by Jackson and the New Wonder School, and the buses were already running. I called Ward, he said, I'll check on it. He called me back and said, keep the buses rolling. He said, we're gonna get it on. So we really do appreciate it, Ward. And the people here at the utility, they own it.
We appreciate that.
I noticed this morning when the weather was bad, I turned it on Channel 3 over in Memphis, that I very seldom listen to because I wanted to see. And they had 2 or 3 schools that were closed in Memphis and Arlington because of power outages. So that can be a big problem when you got all those kids coming and you don't have schools to put them in.
Well, we can, part of this is due to the tree trimming
Yes.
program that we have. Because Memphis, I think, Danny, you told me that they had 16,000
18,
customers.
I think I heard this
Yeah.
morning, about
Customers
7 o'clock, they had about 18,000 now.
I think our outage this morning was probably less than 2 hours. And it was a branch in the line. And, but we're doing a quarter of the city this year, trimming the branches, and it's really paying off.
Okay. Anybody else
Thank
got
you.
comments, good comments?
Well, I do want to comment, our lights went out, but only just a few minutes. And I attribute that to, I saw about 4 trucks trimming trees, cleaning off in my area. And I want to thank you all.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Okay, building committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all see, the sheet here, we do have a sheet with outline. We did do a tour on August the 20th. We came to walk through the building to identify some problems to address. And let me thank Danielle and Ms. Terry for being our tour guide and walking us through this building. I had no idea this building was this large. You guys have been exercising on your date. As we walked through the building, we identified some problems, you know, facility sheet that need to be corrected. If we don't like our house and home in this building, we identify problems, and if they don't be deal with the right thing, the deteriorating condition continue to get worse. So this is where we are. But these are some of the problems that we identified, and let me thank the committees as a whole and the employees in those different departments, because they worked in those departments, so they were able to identify problems that we could go out automatically to it and see the correction need to be taken care of. Now, we know all these problems are not going to be taken care of once because it's an expense in it. And from looking at some of the conditions of some of the departments, and they are really in a somewhat deteriorating condition that need to be addressed. So hopefully we'll be able to put money back in the budget at some point or another to address these issues. When we come back and meet with the architect, he's going to identify and prioritize what's most important. And we can take it from there. But these are the areas that we identified, so we can look them over, and we all want to discuss certain areas, and we can do that. But like I said, hopefully in the near future we'll be able to allocate money back in the budget to address some of these issues that need to be dealt with.
And the architect's going to refer us to a building contractor that they've used to help come in and assess. Like this morning, we had a lot of water leakage, so we went around and took pictures. So be careful over there. There's water that comes in. There's water that comes in the back door. We're getting the roof inspected, so we'll have more information for the building committee by next month.
And there's water in Ward's office this morning. And I'm actually in your area too.
And we thank the Ward too for identifying problems. This committee is long overdue. We should have one. And hopefully we'll be able to do an inspection on a quarterly basis. So once we see these problems, we can get on to start addressing it. Won't be in this deteriorating condition in the future.
As we went around, if you will say, there's stuff that needs to be done right now.
Right now.
Yeah. Get some of it done before winter gets here.
Pretty good.
Okay, anybody got any questions or comments on that? Next item is the search committee.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. We were unable to meet. We didn't get any feedback from the contractor from the search committee until just a couple of days ago, and it didn't afford us enough time to actually have a meeting. But I was given this report that I passed out earlier. I want to make everybody aware of where we are at this point in time. We have 4 candidates that obviously we know who they are. They've just been basically sanitized. Some of them are local, and we didn't want to violate any confidentiality issues. So you see, there are 4 candidates in their current salaries, which are almost all outside the range that we were expecting. Also, of note, if you notice the last line above the chart says that none have power experience. I don't know exactly what that means, but it seems to be a little concerning maybe. I don't know. We don't really have a whole lot of information besides what's presented here at this point, but I assume we'll be able to meet before next commission meeting and get a little bit more information about these candidates. But that's where we stand right now. I guess we got these 2 days ago.
We did, and, you know, this position is ultimately decided by the mayor, because it's a direct report to him. So we're gonna talk to the recruiters, see, get their feedback, see if we need to tweak the profile any. You know, we did talk about this initially, that we were expecting these kind of results for candidates with power. And by power experience, it's, you know, we're considered a power producer. And we're in the MISO transmission area. We were hoping for someone that has a regional transmission operating experience, you know, that we need, because Brett works on the power fuel adjustment. There's a lot of work that we do through MISO. We have a call this afternoon because we're, you know, 2 coal plants are being retired. We're on a call this afternoon with NextEra and Entergy on a proposal they have, and you know, we need experience here. So one of the other options was, you know, we could maybe contract that power work out and expect candidates with lower salaries. But these guys came in without the power, and so we'll be able to have a committee meeting before the next commission meeting and get updated on that.
Something kind of unrelated that's baffling to me that I don't understand. You talk about coal-fired plants being retired. In my other life in business, I've had occasion to make deliveries north of here to a brand new power plant. And on the way into the power plant, there's miles and miles and miles of train tracks. And every time I pass those miles and miles of train tracks, they're train cars, and they're full of coal. And why is that? I don't, you understand the confusion that that's creating?
Well, so the coal plants are still in operation, and until one is out in 2028 and the other one decommissions in 2030. So each plant, you know, we're co-owners. We sit at the table and we hear about the rail contracts. We currently, for each plant, have 10 trains under contract. And we are obligated through our coal contract to buy a minimum amount of coal every month. And some months, when the plants are down, we don't need the coal, but you know, it's our contract, so we have to, the penalty is worse than taking the delivery. So you'll see the coal trains coming, and the plants were designed to burn a certain coal from a mine in Wyoming. So all of our coal comes from Wyoming. But again, we'll be phasing that out, and we're working with some of the other municipalities on replacement, looking at solar, wind, and gas. So, of course, not another coal plant, because they're trying to phase them all out. So, anyway, that's.
Are they being, is there, you noticed several years back in Memphis at the TVA Allen plant, there was a huge project. Was that a retrofit? It was a coal-fired plant. And as I understood it, they were putting scrubbers on those, kind of like a filter. Is that something that's viable to do in some cases, or is it totally completely doing away with color plants altogether?
The two plants that we're co-owners have exceeded their life expectancy, and retrofitting them with scrubbers was economically unfeasible. And we were looking at lawsuits from the Sierra Club, and in the end, the decision was, yeah, we kind of agree with you guys. These aren't worth retrofitting. It would be really expensive, so.
So it's still possible to use.
There,
Very costly to make the plants environmentally acceptable to use.
Yeah.
an older plant like that is reaching,
One thing.
they burn out. But the laws, at one time, they were trying to pass a law that somebody had to stand on a mountain and see what they saw in the 17 and 1800s with no smoke or haze from pollution. It was gonna cost about $250 million to retrofit two plants that didn't reach their end of their life.
The TVA Allen project was $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
And they may have extended a gas line to that, an 18-inch gas line. And these plants, when they shut down, the property's still valuable because the transmission lines are there. And getting a new transmission line built to another plant is, nobody wants that in their backyard, as the saying goes. So there's some value in the property. We just have to agree on what to replace it with, and that's what we're going
They
through
put in
now.
a lot of gas turbine production, I think, over at Allen. And the fact is, if you get run down, everybody says, if you own an electric car, it's coal powered. The majority of the electrical power in this country comes from coal. And if you do away with all the coal, you got a problem.
Well, now that Dana mentioned it, we are changing the way we supply electricity to new developments for that very reason. We're looking at the impact of, if a percentage of the new build has EVs, we need different transformers out front. And we're sourcing those now, and they're over a year out. Virtually any type of transformer. So that's another issue that we're working on.
If you want to see a big solar farm being built, go out 70 and hang a right, or 50, whatever runs into Crawfordsville. They're building a big, huge solar farm out there.
They're doing the same thing.
It's comparable to the one at Gilmore that we own an interest in.
Okay, that one point, Mr. Howard.
Got a small one parking.
Thank you.
If you go out west, you'll see those coal trains there that's constantly moving. Anything else to come before us? Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved, Brown, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank y'all for attending.